Okay, so we saw an example of break even with the taco. If you have any questions, write that down, send me an email so I can answer you whenever you kind of watching the video. Okay, you have a question, didn't understand something, you can write me an email, or you can ask me during in class period of time that we're going to be together. Okay, but write that down so you don't forget it. Okay, so now let's go to the formula of break even. Here is the formula that I kind of explained to you guys with in paper. So some things that we're going to look at. Q is going to be the quantity. Lowercase c is the variable cost. Uppercase F is fixed cost. P is price. This is the total cost formula. So fixed cost plus quantity times variable cost. Okay, so if we go back to our example, okay, we can rewrite this formula, right? So for let's say what is going to be. So we have the data from the previous problem, the food truck, for example, right? And if we want to calculate the cost, so just cost, right? So total cost. Let's say what is going to be the cost of selling 1,000 tacos, right? So it's going to be fixed cost plus 1.5 times whatever quantity you want to put it here, right? So if it's 1,000 point 1.5 1,500 plus 2,100 is going to be 3,000 3,600, right? So this is the total cost formula. Okay. Well, what is going to be the revenue formula, right? So revenue is going to be price times quantity. Okay. And this is fixed cost plus variable cost times C. So if my price is $3, so if I sell 1,000, my revenue is going to be 3,000, right? So whatever information quantity you have it there, just plug into the formula. And here we come back to the slides, and we have the break-even calculation here, which is just taking this formula, the revenue equals cost, and then isolating Q. So we have this formula, which we just saw. It kind of make total sense when we calculate that to the food truck, right? Taco business that we created. So what can break even tell us? If forecast sales volume is sufficient, do we expect to sell 1,400 tacos, or is that too much? If it's too much, we need to change something on our cost, fixed or variable, or price, right? How can, if I reduce the cost, if I, go for cheaper materials, if I increase something, what is going to be effect, right? If I increase the price and I will reduce the demand, probably, what is the effect of that? Does that make sense or not? So these are some decisions I can make, especially on operations, that I can use break-even calculations, okay? And here we have an example of a hospital. Yeah, something that's been very, very focus of our news lately, our hospitalization capacity. But here we're going to talk about revenue and cost, right? So let's say that I have a hospital here that the annual cost is $100,000. So that's our fixed cost, $100,000. And then I have a variable cost of $100. Let's say every patient that I take in my hospital, it costs $100. And the average price for services of a patient in the hospital is like $200. Let's say that, right? So here is showing us patients, the Q from 0 to 2,000. Here is showing this axis the dollar amount. So I know that the fixed cost is always going to be fixed, right? So it doesn't matter how many patients, fixed cost is always 100,000. So what happened to the total cost if I have one patient, for example? It's going to be the $100,000 plus 1 times 100. So $100,000 $1,100, right? So this fixed cost will increase in a linear way, right? So every one patient that I'm increasing here, I'm increasing $100 here because I'm multiplying that by 100, right? So what happened to revenue? What's the revenue with 0 patients? Well, with 0 patients, the revenue is going to be 0 because revenue is price times quantity, right? But every patient that I'm going to see in this hospital will increase the revenue in $200, right? So the line will start here, but I will expect that the angle here somewhere, since I'm making 200 and it costs only 100, every patient I'm making 100 more than the cost, right? I expect this to actually be in a much different angle here. And somewhere along the way, they will meet. And what happened what X marked the spot? That's usually the question of the exam, right? Here we have the break even, right? When cost equals revenue, okay? So this is the break-even quantity, or you can just use the math here, 100,000, which is the fixed cost, divided by 200 minus 100. And I know that's quantity 1,000, which is here. My revenue will be 200,000, and my cost will be 200,000, right? So that's the break-even point, okay? So what happened before break-even point? Well, before break-even point, whatever quantity is this, I'm going to lose money. I can lose a lot of money. I can lose a little bit of money. What happened after break-even? You guys know that. I have profit, right? So I start making money as I pass the break-even point, and my profit will become higher and higher and higher. Okay? So here we just have the numbers. So let's say that I reach 2,000 here. I know that my annual cost will be 300,000, which is here. My profit will be here 400,000 at a quantity of 2,000, right? So 1,000 break even, 2,000 I'm making $100,000 off profit, right?